Oh, you know what? We do have to do it again because I wasn't recording.
Oh, this is my dream right here.
When I did the snap. Fuck.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Ready and action.
Action.
Bah! Ba-da-doo.
Yeah, no, we're super official. It's a lot different.
Oh man, you got a clicker board and everything.
Yeah, dude, we got the clacker, we got the lights. There you go, my man.
This is legit.
It's way different than
been a bit. You've been cranking out some episodes.
I'm doing my best, homie.
You're doing awesome.
So what's been up, dude?
Man, just grinding, pushing myself and trying to step everything up.
Yeah, dude. You're working on 4 different businesses right now, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
What I really want to fucking talk about is you're beating up homeless men. You goddamn bully.
Oh man. Yeah, it's a jungle downtown, and you better be on your toes. That was some crazy stuff.
Yeah, what happened? Let's talk me through that, dude. Like, what the fuck was going on? All I know is, you look online, and that's the thing about online is your imagination can like go anywhere with it, right? All I know is you had a picture of your hand. It's all bloody.
Yeah.
Blood everywhere on the concrete.
Right.
Picture of from like kind of a distance, dude getting arrested.
Yeah.
And then, a few days later your hands wrapped. And I've kind of seen you here and there since then. But
right.
Dude, what in the world was going on downtown?
Oh man, so I was up. I usually try to get in bed pretty early, and this particular night I met my friend DJ Cinnamon out at this bar at Start Bar. Go over there and
Bar, you said?
Start Bar.
Start Bar.
The video game bar downtown.
Oh, dope.
So I don't drink, and so I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing, and I'm like knocking back sugar-free Red Bulls like nobody's business. So I get done. I was just taking some pictures for her. I get done with that, and I realize how wired I am. And my buddy's up the street at, or I hoped he was up the street at Lucas Park, and he's usually got some buds on him or something. And I was straight out, which is a rarity.
So you're down there in Washington.
I leave Start Bar, go over to Washington Avenue. I'm hanging out. I'm at the bars. Doesn't happen. I run into a friend, get sidetracked. I end up staying at the bar till close, and then I run up the street. Talking to my friend at Hair of the Dog, talked to him for a bit. So I'm well after all the bars have closed. Everything's shut down. There's like almost nobody around.
So what's this, like 3:30 in the morning?
No, it couldn't have been that late. So it had to been like 2.
Close? 1:30?
Yeah, I think these bars close at like 2:30. So 2:30, and then by the time I left Hair of the Dog, it was like 2:45 maybe. Don't quote me on that.
Close to 3. Let's just say
we'll say that. We'll say like
shit,
3-ish.
Nothing good happens at 3 in the morning.
No, it doesn't, especially not downtown. So I'm heading back to my truck, and I'm just still wired. Didn't get any blood. I'm walking down this.
You're budless.
Yeah, I'm budless. I'm walking down this back alley, and I get to my truck, and I'm thinking about trying to lay out everything in my head of what I'm going to do the day before or the next day, and trying to plan it all out mentally. And as I'm walking, I see out of the corner of my eye my truck door, and I turn to my truck. So I'm literally 12 inches away from my door, and there's a guy in my truck hanging, like just sitting there like he's about to take off driving, right? Hands on the steering wheel. And, I look over. Now, just to give you guys some kind of a perspective of like where I was at, my truck has been broken into 29 times in the past 10 months.
You need a new truck, bro.
Yeah, right? It's a Dodge Ram, so it's like the theft mobile. It's the one that all the thieves go for. Dodge Rams, they're on them. They love Dodge Rams.
It's just like a fucking magnet for people. You think they're just easy to break into?
I think they're super easy to break into. I'm a former mechanic. I used to do a lot of lock work stuff, and so they're super easy to slide in. Boom, lock's easy to slide up. It's super, super simple.
Easy to like hotwire if you had to?
I've never really hotwired, but from what I've seen them do, yeah, they just break out the starter, and they literally rip it out. Then there's a little pin. You shove a screwdriver in there and just twist it, and the strut starts up. It's pretty simple to do.
Yeah, it's amazing you still have that thing.
Oh, yeah. It's been stolen. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I turn to face this guy and, realize that there's a guy in my truck, and I don't know what to think of. So I just open the door on instinct, right? Because I'm already right there. So I open the door, and the guy looks over and screams out, "Oh, fuck!" Right? And at that point, I'm unsure what exactly is going on. I have a good idea.
It's fucking go time. That's what's going on.
The second he screams out, "Oh, fuck," he turns his body away from me and tries to shimmy past me, and I just clock him as hard as I could.
What's going through your mind at that time?
My mind is fuck this dude out because I don't know if he's got a gun. I don't know if he's got a knife. And we are already in a arm-to-arm situation where I cannot – like I can't get away from the guy. You can, but if he's armed, the smartest thing to do is knock his ass the fuck out. I mean, if you got the skills to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So if you don't fucking knock the guy the fuck out. Just be like, hey, sorry, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
But that's where you went. You were like, man, I got to fucking.
It's time to lay him out.
This guy might have a weapon. You're already in like close quarters with this dude.
Already close quarters. I don't know what's going to happen, but all I know is I just want to put him out as fast as I can. And so I drill him. He takes the hit, spins back, hits me back immediately. So now in my head, it's popping off like, oh, this guy's got to be trained. Because for me to hit you full force and you just to spin around and hit me immediately back, like you've got to have some practice.
Or you're on crack.
Or you're on some crazy shit.
You don't feel anything.
Who knows how it is. But to have that response to immediately hit back.
Yeah, so he turned around, he hit you immediately.
Immediately hits me back. Like, bam, bam, right? Hits me back. So now it's go time. I'm hammering this guy. He's hammering me. I start catching the best of him. He drops his head to kind of cover up in a like sort of long guard hanging on my coat. And that's when I start teeing off on uppercuts. And he's still not dropping to the floor. So I hip toss him to the ground, body slam to the ground, get on the side mount, start hammer fisting him, start hooking him, just popping him as many times as I can, trying to control his arms. I spun into a mount position and basically tried to close my legs in around his pockets, keeping his hands away from his hips, making sure he couldn't reach to his pockets in case he had a knife or a gun. And then in the process, just kept beating on him, right?
Yeah.
So I am hitting this guy, and he's trying to he's trying to grapple. He's trying to buck me off. He's trying to shake me, trying to go for sweeps. So he's got some level of experience. Just wasn't ready for what I was bringing to the party. So he's laying there. I'm beating the fuck out of him, and he's throwing. He's like, he finally has been like telling me these different stories, like testing me for stories to see if his bullshit will work to stop this, the beating that he's still fighting me, but also like trying to.
So you're hitting him and he's trying to talk to you?
Trying to give me excuses. I was drunk. I'm drunk, right? But his voice is completely like there's no slurred speech, nothing. So there's no way he's drunk, right?
Yeah.
And then finally an ambulance pulls up, right? And this is after I've been beating on him for about a good 40 seconds. And ambulance pulls up, honks their horn, and I stop. And I look over at the ambulance, and there's a moment of silence, and then he says, we're going to fucking kill you. And once he said that, I was like, not today. And I just teed off on him again. I beat the shit out of him. And I just hit him until the cops showed up. And then once the cops got there, I stopped because I'm trying not to get arrested, but I'm still pretty pissed that this guy's in my truck and that I had to duke it out with him. And so the last thing is the cops walking up, and I just one last time just hammer into this guy and bounce him off the concrete. And that was it.
What did they say? What did the cops say?
It was kind of like that UFC moment where the ref's stepping in to make sure nothing else happens, but he's also not trying to get physical with me.
Yeah.
He's
trying to calm you down.
Yeah, just trying to make sure no more violence happens. So he kind of stepped in, made sure nothing happened. Then they cuffed him. They took him off. And
you didn't get cuffed.
I didn't get cuffed, because he's in my truck. I literally had to open the door of the truck to get him out. I didn't get cuffed. That's the situation that could have been, some cop could have come along and been like, that guy, that son of a bitch.
Yeah. How long did this whole thing take to unfold? How long was the whole thing, you think?
I would say,
because when you're in it, it probably went super fast. It was like,
sure.
It was like fucking that.
Yeah. So
or long. Who knows?
I would have to bet that from the time that we started the altercation to the time that the cops got there, you're probably talking 15 minutes.
Total.
15 total.
Who called the cops?
In the middle of me, beating the shit out of him, there was a guy walking up, and they're thinking it's like a bar fight or something like that. So I tell this guy, I say, hey, call the cops. And he's like, well, why do I need to call the cops? And I was thinking, he broke into my car, right? But the guy's like, oh, why do I need to call? And he's still asking me, well, why? How do you know? And I'm like, well, how about this? Just call the cops because I'm beating the fuck out of him.
Right. Like, who gives a fuck? You're watching a guy get the shit beat out of him right now. Maybe I don't call the cops right now. Shit. So,
what's the offense, sir? I'm not sure if this is something worthy of a citizen's arrest.
Dude, that is insane.
Yeah, it's wild.
And the cops were just kind of chill with you about the whole thing.
They were pretty cool about it. And then they arrested the guy. They took several statements from me, took statements from that guy. That guy's statement was that he was just sitting in by himself, minding his own business, standing next to my truck, and I just came up and beat the shit out of him.
That's what he said.
That's what he said, right? But the guy had prior convictions, and the prosecuting attorney even told me that. So the St. Louis PD, they arrest him, they take him in. Prosecuting attorney, they let him go.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing at all. So
everybody just walks away.
Everybody just walks away. They let him sit, and yeah. I mean, I guess at least I got to give him a beatdown that he'll never forget.
Yeah, I mean he might forget it.
Maybe, but I doubt
a lot
it.
of brain trauma.
Yeah, he might forget it.
You're a big dude, man. You hit hard. I mean,
you hold
obviously
pads?
I've been holding pads for you.
Yeah.
Like, you hit fucking hard, bro.
I've been training, doing a lot of Muay Thai stuff with Adam. So we usually meet up about once or twice a week. We're trying to shoot back up to the twice a week. But yeah, so I train regularly, and I make sure that I keep my tools sharp. Not trying to be like competing or anything, but I love fighting. I love the combat sports, and so it's always nice just to stay on it.
Well, dude, it's important, right? I mean,
yeah.
to keep the skill sharp, whether or not you're trying to compete or not, but just to have the ability if a situation does arise.
Exactly, and it's good. It's always good to have that for self-defense, or in this weird situation, kind of an offensive situation maybe at first. I don't know how you want to describe it, but it was a real odd situation. And, had I not had those skills, I mean, you never know how that could have gone.
Yeah, no, 100%, because at the end of the day, you'd like to avoid those conflicts.
Right.
You seem to have more of those conflicts in your life than some
other
people, fucking people. But, I mean, if you don't have the ability, or at least like the confidence in yourself to know that once in a situation like that does arise, that you can handle yourself,
right?
Then like you're just doing yourself a giant disservice, man.
And that's man, it's a tough thing. There's a lot of people that don't. There's like this lack of manliness, I think, in society right now, where guys are like afraid to do manly stuff.
Yeah, dude, it's not cool to be a man.
Oh, I guess not. I'll be not cool all day. But a perfect example is I post about that thing happening on Facebook, and some guy gets on there saying like, I can't believe you took the law into your own hands. And his suggestion is that I just tell I leave it alone, I walk away, and I let him steal whatever he wants to steal.
Fucking
and
pussy.
Well, yeah, and so it's just it's such an odd thing to like say that like I'm literally being robbed, and he's like, you should just let him rob you,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get that argument, right? I mean, you don't want to put yourself in a situation you don't have to.
Where you could get shot, you don't know the outcome, and so, yeah, I'm definitely on the same page, like nobody should really be doing that. But that was a weird situation where I was just up in the mix, like I didn't even realize I was there till 12 inches away.
Yeah, dude, sometimes it happens fast.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to defend yourself.
You've got to, and if you don't get to choose when it happens, but you do get to choose ahead a lot of times what the potential outcome might be.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Now, you do a lot of stand-up striking, right? We gotta get you in jiu-jitsu. You probably could just choke that dude out and not have to like beat the shit out of him with your fist.
Yeah, I 100% know I could have done that.
You just chose otherwise.
I always choose otherwise. Even in my MMA career, the only guy that I ever submitted wasn't because Brian Gidge was the ref. I soccer kicked this guy in the face. He literally drops to the canvas like he's shooting in on me. I catch him mid-shot, soccer kick, drops the canvas. Guy's borderline out. Guidry's not moving in. So I swing through, and I end up choking this guy out. As I'm moving into the mount position, my shoulder slips out of socket, right? So my shoulder's out, and I literally used my body and swung it up around him, and I did this funky rear naked choke. But all in all, my instinct, I don't know if it's aggression or crowd entertainment or whatever. In this case particularly, I was trying to knock this guy the fuck out.
Yeah, just put him out.
Cold.
Lights cold.
Yeah, and so that was just, I think that, I don't know, maybe I have a very violent decision-making process, but it came pretty easily.
Yeah, because I would have just been like whispering in his ear, just go to sleep, just go to sleep. Just stop, just chill, just relax. Yeah, it's nice and warm and fuzzy. You like that feeling?
Read the grandma. I was like, read the name tag now, Grandma. You're in my world.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest fucking lines in all of movies. Now, how much did Red Bull have to do with this encounter?
Not much, other than the fact that I was awake.
And you're wired as fuck.
Yeah.
This stuff is terrible for your heart. It's like
Oh, yeah.
liquid crack.
Yeah, and it's actually better for you now than it was 10 years ago.
But what is that saying?
Oh, yeah. Because, you know, I don't know if you know this, like back in the day, Red Bull, for those of you guys who started drinking it that are a lot younger than me, it used to have ephedrine in it.
Did it really?
Yeah, originally ephedrine. And people,
Wow.
a few people died from that because, you know, think about this. You're drinking vodka and Red Bull all night. You
Yeah.
knock back 10 of those. That's like 3 times the amount of ephedrine that you would need in a single day.
Wow.
Not need, but that you would take in a single day.
I did not know that. What I did know, at least I think, is I'm pretty sure like they don't sell Red Bull in Europe, like just because of the ingredient list. Like it's not a safe drink, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can't buy it in Europe. I think
Well-
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident on that one.
And there's a lot of studies that show that mixing energy drinks along with alcohol, that it just increases the likelihood of violent behavior. You blacking out. It also increases. They did some. I think it was like hooking up.
Oh, yeah. That's terrible.
Right. So unless you're on a date, stay away from that vodka Red Bull.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I try to stay away from all energy drinks. I
Yeah.
just feel like they're all bad for you.
They definitely are.
I think it's like with cigarettes, you know, for the longest time they were everywhere. They're extremely socially acceptable. They're
Right.
in doctors' offices and airplanes
Oh,
and
yeah.
everywhere. And then fast forward, you find out, hey, those give you cancer.
Right.
And you shouldn't be, you know, having those. I feel like that's going to be the same situation of like energy drinks.
I feel like if you don't already know that energy drinks are not good for you, like maybe you're lying to yourself.
You'd be surprised, bro. I mean, you know, you work with a lot of general pop, right?
People can always convince themselves, or they backwards rationalize their behavior.
Yeah, they think everything, or you know, that you hear it when you're young and you just have this ideal for your whole life.
Right.
Or you're like, well, it makes me happy, so like to your point, you will rationalize your decision to be like, no, this is totally healthy. This microwave dinner, it
Oh, yeah.
says health
It
on
says
it.
chicken on it.
It
It's
says
right
all
there.
natural.
100% natural.
Yeah, I'm always surprised by how many people don't know how to read food labels.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, I think people just don't. And then it's been around for so long, people grow up with it. They don't like the fact that there's all these different chemicals in their foods. Like it doesn't even faze them.
Yeah, you're just accustomed to it.
Right.
Yeah,
How many foods do you think still have like MSG in them?
I don't know.
That number's dropping dramatically, but there are still foods, like lots of foods commonly that use monosodium glutamate.
Dude, most foods are corn, which MSG is derived from corn. Most,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, most things are from corn.
Wow.
Like, we have such a high corn diet, people don't even realize it. Other than, like, high fructose corn syrup, right? And then corn itself. There's,
Corn
like,
flakes.
there's probably, like, 10 or 12 different ingredients that all are derived from corn. That's, like, our primary ingredient food,
Yeah,
at least in America. It's crazy.
it's cheap and it's everywhere.
That's by design.
But we're big. You know, we got a lot of food in America.
We have more food than they lead you to believe.
Thanks to all the corn.
Big corn-fed fucking Nebraska.
Hell yeah.
Ah, shit, bro. So you're, you know, I think last time we talked, we were really like talking mostly about health and wellness because that's kind of like comedy and health and wellness is like those are your jams. Like I
Yeah.
feel like you're really known for those.
Yeah.
But you're building some other businesses, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're a mover and a shaker, man. So you're
Sure.
working on like 4 companies right now.
I am.
They all kind
And
of like interplay with each other, right?
They do for me. They probably wouldn't for most people. Like for most people, it would be a terrible idea. But I've got, I think, a unique skill set, and it's not just something new. It's something that I've been working on for like years.
Yeah.
So it's pretty. For me, I think it'll work fine. But for most people, I don't think it would. But to give like a rough overview, is I'm working into the social media field. I've been doing social media stuff.
Yeah, you've been doing that for a little bit.
For a long time for the gym. So I've been doing it easily at least 8 years. Photography, videography. So that.
You get some really good photos.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been featured in I think 6 magazines in the past 2 months.
Oh, nice.
Been getting some awesome photos, awesome drone footage, awesome video footage. And then, tying all that back into storylines, and that's the tricky part. Is like getting the media that you're taking and creating to connect.
Yeah, that's like a whole process in itself, right?
100%. and it's different process for everybody. So for some companies, what might work for them, like might not work for me.
Yeah. Are you investing any like dollars into trying to grow your social, like trying
Absolutely.
to like the reach that you're getting with your
Yeah.
content?
Yeah. I've spent a lot of money, but not necessarily. I don't spend as much money as trying to get reach as I do trying to get leads and generate sales. I also do reach stuff, but in my opinion, a lot of the reach stuff that I can generate is more efficient via social media, just creating awesome content that's shareable.
Yeah.
I get more than enough reach and more than enough people that share my stuff on a regular basis that
Yeah.
the reach thing isn't that big of a deal to me.
Yeah.
So not as big of a need to invest money in to establish reach.
Yeah. You're really good at creating group communities.
Sure.
Yeah, dude. Like, what was it? Meme. Which one was it? Was it
Meme City?
City or Village?
Meme City.
City,
Meme
right?
Village is tiny.
Yeah.
We, by design, we keep it that way. It's only like 40, 50 members. But Meme City, I think, is around 3,000.
Yeah, that shit like blew up quick.
Yeah.
It got weird. It got weird
got
fast.
real weird, real
It
dark.
got real weird, like fast.
It was like, oh, this is cute and funny, and then they're like, hey, let's make this group private. And then once we made it private, it got like, man, there's stuff in there that I don't. That's
Everybody started getting super political.
yeah. So it started getting really political, and I'm not a big fan of that because I just want to make want to see funny shit.
Well, even if you do get political, I think when you start getting butthurt about it is when people, it's like, who gives a shit? If it goes against your beliefs or it
Right.
goes with your beliefs, like it's supposed to be funny.
Right.
Can you not see the humor in it at least?
Well, and that's just it. Is that political things can be hard to tiptoe on the line of staying funny and also staying impartial.
Yeah.
And I think once you start going one side or the other, even for some people, even a little bit, it's just a big turnoff because they're how's that go? Their beliefs are wrapped up in their identity.
A lot of people do identify with their beliefs.
Right.
You know what I
like
mean?
it's part of them. Like their belief system isn't something that can be changed and molded if there's better information.
Yeah.
It's like part of them. It's part of them.
Yeah, well, it's tied to your ego.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then if your beliefs are challenged or
Right.
contradicted, and then you start feeling like someone's attacking you,
Right.
you can't separate yourself from your beliefs.
Right.
I wonder why people do that. It doesn't make any sense, right? I mean,
I think it comes with time.
well, there's so much information.
Sure.
And we're always getting new information, and we're always learning new things.
Right.
So why can't some people have an open mind and just be like, hey, it's okay. We don't like to be wrong. You know what I
Right.
mean? And even myself, like, it feels weird to be wrong. And
It does.
it's a skill to start admitting when you're wrong and
Right.
to change your belief.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we hold this value
Sure.
in people stating a belief and then sticking to it no matter what. You see it all the time in fucking
Absolutely.
politics, right? It's like a politician will change their mind on an issue,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, they can't be trusted because they can't make up their mind. Instead
Right.
of saying, hey, they got new information. This information is better than the old information I have, and now I formed a new opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel like politicians flip flop a lot, and then I think that once you've and think about how big of a change you make from being at the beginning of a political career to like being up in the mix.
Yeah.
As you start getting higher and higher clearance and you get more and more information, I mean, you have information that probably the general public doesn't have, and you have to react
you
on
for
that.
sure do.
So, if you're a politician and you have the same exact beliefs that you have at the very beginning that you do like 2, 3, 4 years into your show, you're not learning anything.
You 100% are not learning. If you still think the same thing all these years later, then you're not learning anything.
Right.
I thought it was very interesting. I don't know if you listened to the Joe Rogan with
Sure.
Edward Snowden.
Yes.
He made one really good point in there, and I thought it was interesting when he pointed out how there is in America a political class. It's like a whole separate class of people, and they're all politicians, right? Because they do this for a living, and
Right.
if in some cases there's no term limits, or you can just keep rerunning, or you go up the ladder.
Yeah.
It created a whole new class of people here in America,
Yeah.
the political class, that absolutely does not represent the will of the people, which is what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
I thought that was super interesting. Because,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, dude?
Oh yeah. Man, I know a few politicians, and definitely it's the laws are changing actually for that, I think, particular reason, because what only 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you could run for office. You could take the money that was donated to your campaign. You could take that money and you could spend it on clothes. I mean, even after you left, like you lost, right? As long as you're continuing into that type of stuff, I think you were able to spend it on food, on clothing, on home. Like you could buy a house. You could spend it on a car. You could spend it on schooling. So there's a lot of different things that if you run for office and fail, you still have all that money. Now they changed the rules where I think now you have to donate it. Maybe you have to give it back to either the political party or something of that sort.
Yeah.
You can't just go spend it on your own stuff.
Maybe. I don't know, dude.
I'm almost positive.
Well, the fact that they can collect all that money and what we call lobbying, it's just legal bribery, dude.
Yeah. 100%. And there's all types of companies that they'll spend all the money that they can on whatever political person gets in.
Yeah.
And they don't care which party they're for, whether it's Democratic or Republican. They just are going to pick the person that is going to be most likely to support them.
Yeah.
But they're still going to give it to both parties. So they'll give millions of dollars to either person because
Yeah.
it increases their influence over that political candidate.
Yeah. It's madness, dude. It's madness.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a tangent, but let's go back to you. This is just how we were. It's how we roll.
The ADD to the fullest.
It's okay, man. I just why not, dude? This is my show.
Get
Do what I want, bro. You've been playing the piano for how long?
Now it's been 7 years.
Because like entertainment is like really your jam, right? Whether it's comedy, whether
Sure.
it's playing piano, whether it's through social, and like the videos you do.
Yeah.
Like entertainment's like a big part of what you do. Like
It's
your whole brand.
It is, and it's something that I try to tie into my social media. It is a big part of what I do, and I like entertaining people. I like making people laugh, and it's marketing 101.
Yeah.
So where the attention goes, the energy grows. Write that down.
Done.
So one of the things that I'm working into is actually getting into music production through my knowledge of piano and what I've been working on with piano and drum stuff. So I'm gonna start creating more music, which I'm looking forward to, and then I'm also gonna use that music that I'm creating for videos. So from a video perspective, you can really bring out a lot more emotion in the video if you have accompanying music. Not that you have to run the video to the music, but if you're good enough that you could actually run the music to the video.
What do you mean? You said run the video to the music?
So if you look at a lot of video production now, they do their cuts, their edits, their clips, their little flashes. If on the guys that are doing certain types, they will actually run all the splicing and everything to the beat of the video.
Oh, I got it. And then you're talking about composing music specifically for the video.
Right. And so there's different ways to do it, but essentially with a lot of music, you're creating this emotional line.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if you've ever played with it, but if you ever want a funny experiment, you take some kind of a comedy like a Benny Hinn and you switch out, or what is it, Benny Hill? I'm saying that right?
I don't know, dude.
Anyways, take some old school comedy where they're doing some slapstick stuff. It might be Charlie Chaplin or whoever. But if you just switch out the music, it changes the entire feel of the video.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think they've done that with like horror movies.
Sure.
Right? You take out the dramatic music. You put in like funny music or something. I try to keep that in mind when I'm watching that. So the more I've gotten into like video production and like this whole side of it, like I look at video, like movies and TV, like I look at it way different.
Absolutely.
In my mind, especially like some of these like real big dramatic scenes where maybe it's just two people doing a dialogue or somebody doing a monologue. I'm like, somebody just said action and they just had to turn it on and, and here the fuck we are.
Yeah.
And like all these people are around and there's lighting and there's cameras and there's people holding mics and like there's just all of this going on. So like now I think about all of the behind the scenes, like what's going on and like to make this happen. It's an interesting perspective.
They're like making love and they're like, and cut. But
yeah, that would be an awkward thing to do. All these people around and have to do a fucking love scene.
There was who was it? I think the girl from Game of Thrones, Khaleesi.
Yeah.
She was talking about the sex scene with Jason Momoa.
Oh, what about it?
And about how like she was just uncomfortable with being fully bare, and he like talked to her, tried to console her.
Yeah.
So
that's got to be an interesting vibe, right? Like you meet somebody, and then now you guys have to perform this very like intimate scene.
And be naked,
Yeah, like you're fucking naked. There's
right?
people everywhere. Like you're probably cold. This is the one thing I remember from fighting is like you're in there half naked
Yeah.
and it's cold as fuck always.
Oh yeah.
You feel super exposed.
I don't see. I got more insulation than you do, so I didn't have the same cold feeling. I
I
was.
always had cold feelings.
Oh man, I never because I just got more fat on my body. Yeah, I never had that part. But yeah, the weird thing is though, here's what I always hated about that. Like, you're like your hands are wrapped up, you got your cup on, mouthpiece in, however your fight gear's set up.
Yeah.
You're going out, and then all of a sudden you gotta like piss or shit, right?
Every time.
Right. Every time. And so then, because you got a period of time before the fight starts, but you've got like usually a handler or something that's ushering you out.
Yeah.
And so every time that happens, which was it was a lot. I would just think to myself, man, I better not get knocked out because I'm gonna shit my pants.
Now let's get back to the entertainment shit.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna be parlaying, like your music interest into DJing, right?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm building, I already have the musical skill set to do that, to start creating beats, to start doing DJ work, and I'm really excited. I just got a couple turntables. I've reached out to a bunch of DJs in the community that are, real supportive. A lot of musicians are real helpful. If you find the right ones, they're just amazing. The amount of help that they'll give you,
Yeah.
without really expecting anything in return, just to help you with your art, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's cool when you can meet people like that.
Absolutely. And so I'm excited about this. That's all going to be happening within the next 6 months. So as I get all the equipment stuff together and all that, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
That'll be fun. You'll be
It
able
will be.
to, use your skills of like being on the mic and
Right.
kind of, getting the crowd into
Right.
it and just like using your personality that way, and you get to pair it with like the fucking music.
Absolutely.
Get to grow your personal brand the whole way along.
I'm super excited about that, and not just about the DJing stuff and the music side, but also utilizing the skills that I already have to help my skills in the broadcast field help grow in that area.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
probably what I think I'm the most excited about.
That'll be dope. That'll
Yeah.
be dope. Rick and I are going to South Carolina for New Year's. He's DJing a party.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. DJ Rick.
Boom.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to go along with him and capture content for the people, so it should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. We're going to line up a guest while we're out there. Hopefully, we got some big ones coming. But DJing is cool, dude. Fucking, there's going to be a lot of ecstasy and raves. And no. you doing that kind of DJ? Those kind of parties?
I don't know. If they're bringing me in, I'll probably do whatever, but
Dude, I think it'd be fun as shit to, like, DJ a rave. Give me some MDMA. Give me some crazy lights.
Yeah.
I'm fucking raving.
I would be scared just because I feel like I would get so wrapped up that I would forget I was DJing.
Yeah, dude, you might just fucking get a water bottle and just tear your clothes off and just fucking go.
Yeah, before you know it, you're out in the crowd just dancing and the music stops.
Yeah.
Like, man, this DJ sucks.
Dude, set and setting is important, especially when you're talking about psychedelics. But sometimes it's cool just to get a little silly and just be around some people.
Oh, yeah. It is. That's a good cutback.
This is the world you're about to join, dude.
The world, you got mushrooms legal in Colorado.
Dude, psilocybin, pretty soon, MDMA and then psilocybin, I think, would be soon to follow. Like, it'll be legal just kind of everywhere.
That'll be good.
Yeah,
I mean,
Chicago, psilocybin is good. I think out on the West Coast, like Oakland and San Francisco, it's good out there.
I think I'm
maybe in Denver,
interested
too.
to see how many more people that have like PTSD. Man, I don't know if we talked about this last time or not, but they did a lot of studies with rats. They took these rats, they put them in a cage. They took these rats, and over a period of time, they would flash these lights and create this buzzing noise. And at the same time they flash these lights and create this buzzing noise, they'd shock the rats, right? And so they'd electrocute them, and they did this again and again until they created this PTSD response in the rats, where whenever they would flash the lights and create the buzz, the rats would just curl up and they'd start shaking in anticipation for the shock. So these rats would just freak out every time they see those lights and hear that sound. And then what they did is they did something really interesting, and they took these psilocybin spores and they made the rats ingest them. And once the rats ingested the psilocybin, they started administering the lights and the buzzer noise. And what they found was the psilocybin it actually reduced the reaction to the lights, reduced the reaction to the stimulus, which decreased the PTSD and eventually eliminated it in the rats.
Yeah,
And
it's funny. So Paul Stamets was just talking about that,
oh, okay,
and so he was talking specifically in regards to microdosing psilocybin.
okay,
So they did that with the rats, to where like they created like this PTSD response, right?
right,
And they, I can't remember if it was a light or a sound which triggered it, what he was talking about. But
sure,
either way, they first gave them like a heroic dose, like a larger dose,
wow,
and well, maybe just not like a heroic dose, like whatever is equal to like maybe like 1 gram for a human, like a good dose, which then
right,
like kind of blasts you off. And I think they found that it was like 5, maybe 10 cycles until the rats like forgot about
right,
the trauma.
sure,
And then with I think like 1/10 or maybe 1/20th of a dose, so like a micro dose,
hmm,
they forgot about the trauma within 2 cycles. So it was actually showing like the efficacy of microdosing,
huh.
which is actually helping people get over this trauma much quicker than like a much larger heroic dose or
Wow.
just like a blast off dose or
So you're
something.
saying that not getting inebriated on it, just taking a small amount might be more beneficial?
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of what
Awesome.
we're thinking, or what we're thinking, kind of where things are headed. Is that there are a lot of benefits just with like microdosing these
Right.
substances, where you're not really getting the overwhelming or like the full on visual effects
Sure.
and everything, like as far as that's concerned with the plane of vision and all that good shit.
Yeah.
But you're getting all of these like benefits medicinally from the microdoses,
Yeah, man. And then
or
there
maybe you
are
just get the benefits quicker. Is a better way to say it.
the other thing that people don't realize about the mushroom help, and I think this actually would go with acid and with ecstasy, is that it actually shuts down this chemical your body releases that makes you stop working, like it makes your muscles shut down.
Huh.
So it keeps your body from releasing that chemical. And if you ever do that while you're working out, which I am not recommending that, but I am telling you, it will give your endurance a completely different level.
Huh, that I'm not familiar with, but yeah, you for sure don't get tired the same.
You probably lick the mats a lot more, but yeah, you probably won't get tired as fast.
Maybe if you're a weirdo, you'll lick the mats a lot more.
I'll lick the mats.
Fucking
Whatever.
weirdo. Whatever. But yeah, dude, DJing would be fun.
Yeah. Man, it's an interesting field, and combining that with my current music ability, I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. You're like the man who never sleeps. Like you have
Oh yeah.
that's your thing, right? It's like I will outwork whoever. You have no problem working 20 hours a day.
No, I don't. And I don't care about that at all. And there are lots of guys that do the same. What's effed up to me, right? I'm willing to work 20 hours a day, right? And work, but I love what I do, and I love the video production. I love music stuff. I love the training. I love what I'm doing. But there are people that don't love what they're doing, but they're still willing to blow the same amount of time on doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Doesn't make
so
any sense.
people think that I'm nuts for actually working towards my goals like 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
But I think they're nuts for not working towards their goals in 20 hours a day.
Yeah. Well, dude, I say it all the time, dude. Work is like what you get to do, not a place you have to go. And those people you're talking about, they associate work with this place that they have to go Monday through Friday, or whatever, Wednesday through Sunday, wherever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? They got to put their 8 hours. They got to clock in. They got to get their check. That's what they think about. They don't think about the big picture.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're satisfied, and that's okay. Some people, not everybody is gonna want to be a high achieving, successful person in that regard. Some people are totally cool with like working their 9 to 5 and
Yeah.
doing whatever it is they do in the evenings and the weekends, and that's cool. Like
Yes.
those people are totally. If you're happy with that life, cool.
Absolutely.
But if you're bitching about it, like I don't want to hear that shit.
Not if you're not going to do anything about it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And for guys like us, for me, like you, like we want more.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you are pursuing a life that's not normal, that's more than the average person,
Yeah.
then it can make the average person feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But they don't really understand what you're doing. That you don't see the things that we're doing as work.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just what you're doing today.
Yeah. Man, I think a lot of people they don't get the big picture. They don't see the correlation between the work they do now and how high they're going to go, or like you said, they don't care. And if you're satisfied with that, awesome, do your thing. And
100%, yeah.
there's a million ways to run your life. Go for it. But there's there are so many people that are unsatisfied and unwilling to work to change. That's, to me, is I don't know, that'd be a tough spot to be in.
It is a tough spot to be in. I remember, like, whenever I was in the corporate space, and dude, I would go into work and I would just be so miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get super depressed, you get super anxious, you just feel this heaviness coming
Mm-hmm.
over you, and just the thought of walking into that building and doing whatever the task is. Like, for me, it was being on the phones in the call center. Like, just the idea of like hearing this beep in my
Right.
headset.
And you got to talk.
You want to talk about PTSD? I'm just like, beep. Oh, fuck. Like, I'm freaking out. I don't want to hear this shit. But it's just the reality, man. I totally get that. I used to really live by the mantra of, you do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do.
Right.
But that only takes you so far. Sometimes you just got to start doing what the fuck you want to do and just figuring it out and making
Yeah.
it work. Because if you're always doing what you got to do, then will you ever really get to do what you want to do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's like a high risk, high reward thing.
yeah.
And so you can dive all in, and I think it depends on the person. But yeah, if you're some people always play the safe route, and there's a result from that too.
Yeah, nothing great ever happens in a safe zone, dude. You got to get out of that
Comfort,
zone.
yeah, get out of your
dude.
comfort zone for sure.
Yeah.
And then, there are levels of safety because, excuse me, there's levels of safety where people, there's a safetyness from actually doing dangerous activity, right? You're like, oh, I'm not going to go run across the street with my eyes closed. That's a good idea, right? Because that's fucking dangerous. There's no reward there, right? But then there's also a level of danger where you're like, oh, man, I don't know this. I'm uncomfortable. And that's what I think a lot of people have a hard time delving into.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy. And again, with like we were talking earlier about rationalizing your behavior, it's really, really easy to whatever it is you choose to always go back to be like, oh, yeah, that was totally the right decision.
Yeah, you always rationalize it after the fact. We like to do that.
And so, yeah, people make terrible, terrible decisions that shape their personality more so because they rationalize the behavior.
Yeah.
Versus even just the actual decision being like, oh, man, I made one bad decision and I'm going to move on from that and make better decisions. They make the bad decision and they're like, that's who I am, and that's what they go with.
And they just keep continuing that.
They keep on that track.
Yeah, I try to tell myself in those moments, like, just because you've made a mistake doesn't mean you have to keep making it. Or you made it for a long time doesn't mean you have to keep making it. You can change it any time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if you're, and then people train themselves to be like fight or flight. And some people, whenever they come into a tough situation, a tough problem, they are ready to fight. They're ready to duke it out.
Yeah.
And then there are also people that they train themselves where it's so ingrained that they are always on flight. And I don't think the answer is either one, where it has to be one or the other. I think you got to treat every situation differently. But the more people tend to fly than they do tend to duke it out.
Yeah. Dude, so you're grinding, you're putting in all this time
Mm-hmm.
to like really build this life that you envision for yourself.
Yeah.
And so you have all this drive, which, I mean, as you know, especially in this area, this very like blue collar community, we don't have a lot of big dreamers,
Right?
And there are some for sure.
Sure.
They're just a little bit further and farther, like in between. And,
Yes.
But there's no short of like hard workers, right?
Right.
Now, so you have that very like blue collar work ethic, right?
Yep.
With the big vision, which
Yes.
you need both,
Right.
They're both important. How much of your like you had an accident with the train when
Yeah.
you were younger? Like, how much of that has really molded the way you kind of like view, like the life that you're trying to build and success you're trying to achieve? Because that was a fucking horrific accident, right? Like,
Yeah.
talk me through that accident and like how much did that like view how you or shape how you view the world? You know what I mean? And,
Sure.
And the importance of going after your goals.
That changed probably my whole life course. I was already coaching and training at that time, but not to the level that I got into after that. So I was tying a train into a train car over in East St. Louis, Allerton, over at Metro East Industries. Tying this train in a train car, I'm counting this guy down on the track, and you're never supposed to be on the inside of a track. Well, I was, still in the middle of training. I had no clue what I was doing, and I'm tying this train in. Guy's coming in crazy fast, and I'm counting them down. I get to 3, and I look up, and this train's like literally right on top of me.
Yeah.
Smashes me into this train car, breaks my hips. I'm sideways. I'm in the middle of this, my hips getting crushed by this train.
From this way.
Right.
From
and
the
so,
side.
right. One was like an auto rack that you always see they carry cars in, and then the other car that was that we were tying into was what they call a wood deck.
Okay.
It's like TTGX. So it's a flat deck that they use with wood on top, where they put like huge heavy equipment, maybe like turbines or something metal they're trying to transport that they can't ship metal on metal.
Okay.
So they'll put these big beams down on top of the train car, and then the whatever kind of equipment's on top of that.
Yeah.
The train car's broken. We're picking up a train car to repair it. I get smashed into this train car. The train car's on a chock block. This whole train smashed me in this car, and I screamed out, "Oh Jesus!" And I don't know, if it was an act of God or what, but the car pushes down the tracks, and I fall back. And I kind of stumbled on my feet and just stumbled back, making sure I didn't just collapse right there by the train.
So you got smashed in between. So a train is coming.
I'm tying a train in. Train's coming in down the tracks.
There's a car here.
There's a car.
You're in between those two.
I'm in between them.
The train smashes you into the car.
Yep.
The car proceeds to roll after
The train pushes me and the car down past the chalk block.
Yeah.
Once the train pushes the car past the chalk block, it crushes through the block. Train car rolls down the tracks, and that's when when it's separated. That's when I was able to step back.
Okay, so you weren't,
it's
pinned
literally
in between there for
it was a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. I don't know.
It doesn't it happens fast, right?
Yeah.
So boom, you get crushed in between that. Now it's rolling, and now you're falling back.
So I'm on my feet, falling back, stumbling back, and I just made sure that obviously that I didn't collapse right there on the track, because then I'll just get cut in half.
Yeah. So you had that wherewithal at least.
Right. So I'm still I'm fully conscious. That moment wasn't very painful, and it just happened so fast.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah.
Bam. And then it separates, and I stumble back, and I collapse. And my radio was on my hip, so my radio literally got crushed into my hip. I still have a divot on my ass from the radio, like straight line right down my ass. Sorry to any girl that I ever date. I got a janky ass. I got a line in it.
It's all right. Your ass will always be easy to pick out.
It's easy to pick out a
you're on
lineup.
the beach in a Speedo, bro, it's just like, oh, there's Jeremy's ass right there. I see it.
There it is. There's that radio. We got to hit a number 9er on that.
Yeah.
On that booty. So I stumble back, and they're trying to contact me on the radio. They can't contact me because my radio's crushed. They finally just come down the train line. They find me laying there. They call it in. 15, 20 minutes go by. Ambulance comes out. That was the most painful ambulance ride ever. So I'm laying there on the floor. Ambulance guy comes up. He says, "What happened?" I explained to him what just happened. And he says, "Well, can you move your legs?" And I think I could move my toes, right? Which is a good sign.
Absolutely.
Which means just off the bat that I didn't completely sever my spinal column.
Right.
That's all it means.
Right.
And that just means I didn't do it yet in that moment. Doesn't mean it won't happen moments later.
Yeah, it could be like frayed or.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the guy, for some reason, grabs my hips. He lifts my hips off the ground and drops my hips to the ground.
Oh.
Right? Which I'm positive isn't a medical procedure.
How bad that hurt?
It hurt a lot. And I didn't know what I was so stunned, and it was so painful. I was like, don't do that again. That's so.
Oh, God.
And because takes your breath away. It's like that kind of pain where you're like, oh,
I'm gonna rip your fucking head off.
But also this guy's about to drive me to the hospital.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be too bad of friends with him. And every single track on the way out, we hit every single track.
You felt every bump.
Every bump. And then there's 2 more tracks you got to cross over going down 15, and they took me straight to Barnes Jewish Hospital.
So what was recovery like for that? Like, how long did it take?
So the recovery was probably it came in parts, right? So the initial recovery was just getting up and walking around and being mobile.
Yeah.
So I was in a wheelchair for a bit, and then on a cane. And then, once you got through just the absolute basics, then it's like building. So it was probably a half a year to just get to where I was mobile, another year to where I was probably in decent shape. And then beyond that, probably another 3-4 years to where I felt like I was in peak physical condition. So probably four. So total 5.5, 6 years.
So that's a long road there.
A very long road.
So what's your mindset through that whole time?
Man, I think part of it for me, at least, is that I just have nonstop optimism and enthusiasm. So not that I was in denial, but I was just immediately like, all right, I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And that was my mindset.
Just focus on the work that you have to do.
Right. And I didn't know to what extent my injuries would end up going to. I didn't know if they were going to be, if it was going to be permanent, if I was going to have like some kind of permanent hip problems later on in life. And,
Yeah. Damn, dude. So so and I don't want to like assume for you, but
Yep.
was that one of those catalysts that's like, man, this could have ended really terribly. I really need to take advantage of this opportunity or like this second chance, if you will, to like really make some shit happen? Did it put some things in perspective for you, or?
Yeah, I think that always, something like that happening always has a somewhat of a change. I mean, if it doesn't have some kind of a mental change, you're just not human.
Yeah.
But that in particular, from a mindset aspect, first off, the first thing that it made me realize is how beneficial all the therapeutic exercises are.
Yeah.
And so once I started realizing how important that was for my recovery, and then not just for my recovery, but for my pain management after the fact.
Yeah.
When I found out how important that stuff was, that's when I started really, really diving into it. Because your body's gone through this trauma, and you're trying to work back through it, and so it's a painful process. Because not only are you trying to push your muscles like every single day so that they're back to just a normal level, you're also trying to surpass that because you're not just trying to train to become like average.
Right.
And so there's a lot more hurdles. There's a lot more pain management, a lot more like range of motion stuff that I had to work on and work through. That had I not been through that accident, I would never have found all that stuff.
Was that a catalyst for you moving into the career that you're in now?
Definitely
one of the careers.
Yeah. So for the gym, it was definitely a catalyst for me going into the personal training field. I had already been coaching and training at that point, but especially for helping people with pain management, with like post-therapy type work. The medical system's so jacked up. They have, if you hurt your shoulder and you go to the doctor, your doctor will, it's probably a general care practitioner, be like, hey, you take this pill for 3 weeks and call me back. And then you come back and you set up another appointment. So they've gotten 2 appointments out of that one visit, right? And then they're like, well, we'll send you to a specialist. So then they send you to a physical therapist, right? You go to a physical therapist, and if your shoulder's not fixed then you come back in. You're like, doc, shoulder's still a problem. He's like, all right, next step, surgery. So that's it. Those are the 3 steps. They're like ibuprofen or painkillers, physical therapy, and then surgery, right? But the problem isn't that they're trying to get your shoulder fixed. It's just that the system's methodology for fixing your shoulder isn't the best way to do it. So if you have a shoulder injury, they might be able to get some strength back in your shoulder in just 3 weeks. But how are they going to address things like range of motion, things like pain, things like muscle shortening, things like muscles being weak? And because you do the same type of stuff, you've been helping me work with my ankle and calf for the past 2 months.
Yeah.
So you get these injuries. Had I gone through a traditional method through the medical field, I would be in a pin right now. They'd have a pin in my ankle so it doesn't move. It's immobilized. It would probably reduce the pain, but it would also eliminate my ability as an athlete.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the healthcare system is really like a sick care model, right? It's very reactionary.
Yeah.
Reactive? I don't know the right word.
Yeah,
You're reactive. It's a reactive
it's a reactive
process.
system.
We're not being proactive.
Right.
We're not taking care of things at the source.
Right.
We're putting Band-Aids on things.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to treat symptoms.
Yes.
Instead of make people actually better.
Yeah.
And to a lot of the doctors' credit, it's not necessarily their fault. They're really just practicing what they were taught in school.
It's the system they're in. Like they're a part of it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it can take 2, sometimes 3 decades for new science to be filtered into academia, so that way these kids are now learning, the right things.
Right.
Whether that's nutrition or just the latest like things in like stem cells and just all the great shit that's going on. They just don't learn about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how many times is a doctor going to sit down with you and talk about, all right, well, what are you doing for sleep?
Right.
What's your environment look like?
Sure.
Are you getting water? Are you getting sunlight?
Yep.
Like, what are you eating? They don't talk about these things. They're just like, oh, you're depressed? Here's a pill.
Here's this.
Here's a pill. Call me. And and to their credit, I mean, they're super busy people. They got a lot of fucking patients, and a lot of them are just weighed down with debt. You know what I mean? They have all this debt from school, and they're trying to pay that off.
Yep.
And it's just a vicious cycle, man. But once you know better, you know what I mean? It's like, man, there's so many other ways that we can start addressing these problems and start getting
Absolutely.
better before we turn to surgery, before
Yeah.
we turn to the pharmaceuticals. Like, let's try these things first and then go that route if we absolutely have to.
Yes, 85% of all body pain is, or I'm sorry, 85% of all, of all body pain is muscle related. 85% of all body pain is muscle related. So if you're having body pain, that just means that like there's probably something that can be fixed, can be changed, can be modified with either your workouts, with your diet, with maybe some kind of physical therapy exercises. But most of the time, 9 times out of 10, whatever you're feeling can be fixed.
Well, and a lot of the issues of like what people are feeling is it's just poor mechanics.
Yeah,
Like the body
a lot of
is a
times.
chain,
Yep.
right? And what people don't realize is it starts with the feet,
Sure.
even all the way down to your big toe.
Yep.
And I talk about it all the time, but shoes are terrible for you. A lot
Yep.
of us all day are walking in shoes, whether that's dress shoes or even sports performance shoes. They have an elevated heel
Yeah.
with a narrow toe box,
Yep.
and you're essentially putting your foot in a cast.
Right.
Right? So when you're in that cast, it can't move like properly. It
Yeah.
can't build strength. It can't do what it's meant to do.
Right.
So then now you create all these issues up the chain. That's when you start having knee problems and
Yeah.
hip problems and lower back problems. It all actually stems from like your ankle and your feet, but we're not taking care of like the root
Right.
cause of the chain. You know what I
Agreed.
mean? So
Yeah.
there's just a lot to look at that not everybody really thinks about, or just they just don't have the knowledge. Health and wellness is just such a budding field, and there's always so much information. Who can really keep up with it all?
Yeah, it's man, I don't even know how to best say what somebody would need to do to be on point, but man, there's like so much.
Yeah. Well, the beauty is even if you just do like a little bit,
Yeah.
it can just be like one thing here and there.
little bit
because
of
there
work.
because there is so much. You can't do it all, at least not right off the bat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot, there's a lot to it, but I feel like if I had to give somebody the fastest workout program advice I could give, like if I just had to narrow it down to just a couple things, make sure you're lifting 3 times a week, total body. Make sure you're doing cardio like 3-5 times a week.
Yeah. Even
And
if
then
it's just
make
like
sure,
walking.
yeah, even if it's just walking, and then make sure you're doing like stretching. So like those 3 things, and that will push you along. Like probably, I would bet 80% of the population, probably more than that, probably like 90%.
Yeah, man. Just move your body. Get water, get sleep, eat real food. Just keep it very basic.
Should make a card. Just that'll be on the card.
That's it. That's it.
Daily checklist.
Man, so now you are building a construction company.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like rounding out, all the companies that you're working on, right?
Yeah, and so that one I'm really excited about. For people that don't know who I am, I used to do construction before I got.
Yeah, you've been in the trades for quite some time.
Yeah, I started off. It was like the first real job that I had. I was about 20 years old. Started doing construction for Helitech. Eventually became a spokesperson for Helitech. And then I got into I just moved into the Carpenters Union. I'm a certified diesel mechanic. So I did construction for 10 years, and I didn't have the sales and marketing skills that I do now.
Right.
So now that I have all of that together with the construction experience, I'm really, really excited about putting my skills to work in that field and helping grow that, as well as being able to do my own marketing.
Yeah, dude. You're fucking grinding, dude. And like you said, you in the beginning you kind of built the technical skill part,
Right.
and then you added the back end things that you didn't have before. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? The marketing, the sales.
Yes.
How to actually put it all together.
Sure.
And then now you're using everything to build several companies.
Yeah, I wasn't even planning on getting back into the construction field, but I went around to several different multi-million-dollar construction companies. I talked to them about what it was that they were doing, what they were trying to accomplish, and I told them, here's some things I can help you with, and like I got shot down hard, right? Like people laughed at me, and so they laughed, and I was like, I was like, it's like the 5th time that I had gone and interviewed with the company trying to see if they're interested in my marketing skills. And so the 5th person that I went and talked to, where he laughed, he's like, "We're making millions, and we don't need to change our marketing. Our marketing's awesome." And I was like, "Your marketing sucks. I saw it. I'm looking at it. That's why I'm here right now talking to you, because your marketing sucks." So after the 5th one where I got shot down, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't need your marketing." So I was like, "All right, well, I guess I'm just going to do it for myself, and I'll do the work and the marketing and the sales, and I'll keep all the profits, not just the profits off the marketing side."
Not the whole pie.
Right. I mean, might as well, I guess. I have all the skill sets to do it, so
Yeah.
put it all together.
Fucking, you got to own the whole damn thing, dude. Own
Yeah.
it all. I
Man,
want more.
It's like kind of like developing a trust where you've got like the skill sets to do everything from the beginning all the way to the end. And if you've got that skill, like you can really do a lot of work.
Yeah, and that helps especially in the beginning when you're building, and so you can
Absolutely.
start, adding team members and replacing yourself in different areas, so that way you
Absolutely.
don't have to do it
You
all.
don't.
What's the
And
first thing you want to replace?
um,
As far as like who do you want? Is it sales? Is it marketing? Like who do you want to bring in first to help grow
that's a good
what
question.
you're
The
doing?
first, you know what, the first one I would really love to bring in is a good marketing person who likes doing videos, likes doing ad copies, likes doing photography.
Yeah.
Because then I can take that one person and I can use them to grow all 4 businesses.
Yeah, so they'll be able to work on everything,
Right.
and eventually they'll be like your VP.
Eventually, I mean, hopefully, they
Yeah,
keep killing it. Yeah,
that's what's up, dude. So you got
yeah,
a plan? You're about to take some shit over.
about to do it. Do
What
it to it.
what do you plan on doing with like once you like get there? If whatever there is, you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
once you start, knocking some fucking things off the checklist.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it. I've been knocking a lot of stuff off the checklist. I've been doing video production. Like a year ago, I went to Bangkok, did the videos for that.
Yeah.
I've been doing steady video stuff since. That's one thing that I really, really, really love doing is the video production.
Yeah.
So continuing to grow my skills in that one field is something that I'm super excited about, as well as the broadcasting side. And I think those two together are going to be huge.
Is that kind of where you see like your passion going the most? Is like that video broadcasting, like entertainment side of things?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not trying to skirt out on the hard work, and I think that's something a lot of people do, where they get these like grandiose ideas, where like, oh man, I'll be like a broadcast guy, or I'll be an actor, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're willing to do the fun stuff that's like part of their dream, but they're not willing to do the work stuff that's part of their dream.
Dude, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
That's what people don't see. There's so many hours of just unseen work.
Yeah.
Just so that way you, the listener, can listen to an hour podcast or a 5-minute video or a 1 minute or 30-second clip. You know what I mean? It takes a
Exactly.
lot of fucking time and effort and just energy.
And skill development, and not just about skill development and the actual work. It's like the work to where you can show up and bam, 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 lights switch, everything's plugged in, ready to go, and then you've got it done and ready to happen.
You're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, and so people see that easy part, and they're like, "Oh, I could do a podcast." Yeah, you just turn all this shit on, and then you just talk to someone for an hour or so.
that easy, right?
It's like real easy. You just do a podcast.
Yeah.
And then they get into it, and then they're like, "Oh man, this is actual work. Like, I don't know if I want to do this." And so they're, like I said, they're willing to get like the cherry on top of the sundae, but they're not willing to do the work to get the money.
Yeah. How do you like to learn? I mean, obviously you're learning a lot of different skills. Like, how do you like to learn, or what sources do you like to turn to for your education?
Because I tend to multitask a lot, I prefer to learn through audiobooks and video.
Okay.
Because I can always be driving in my truck, listening to some kind of an audiobook. And then even with video stuff, you can still listen to the video like while you're driving.
I think most people do. Like they kind of
like turn YouTube on and just
passively
listen to
consume
it.
YouTube. Yeah, just listen.
Yeah. So those are my 2 favorite ways because it helps me consolidate time.
Yeah.
And I usually end up driving. This is a new thing for me. I didn't used to have to drive like at all, but now that I'm like kind of working on a bunch of different stuff, I have to drive a lot more. So now I'm finding myself driving an easy 5 to 8 hours a week.
Okay.
And then I take that time, instead of it just being blank drive time, I always try to have some kind of an audiobook where I'm working on skill development, listen to like somebody's podcast, where you've got, and not just some bullshit that people are talking about, where they're actually talking about real stuff that I think is pertinent, that is going to enhance my lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's what I try to keep my mindset towards with my free time when I'm not, doing whatever else I'm doing.
Yeah. Just like actively using that downtime for something productive.
Right. And there's so much downtime for some people that it's insane they don't do something like that.
Yeah, it's really easy just to chip away, right? Just a little bit here and there goes
And just
a long way.
Yeah, and developing that habit and that mindset. Because like at first you're like, oh man, I don't know if I want to listen to podcasts. I'd rather listen to music. But once you develop like one habit and you've just got that habit in the bag, that's what you do. Like I get in my car, I turn on podcasts, I turn on a YouTube video, educational something, Harvard Business Review, Harvard Book Review. So there's a lot that you can do if you just make it a habit. And once you have those habits, it's always easy to add one habit on.
Yeah.
And if you make that one habit, then you add another one. Before you know it, you got 30, 40, 50 big habits that are that's an insane number of habits to do, like in one day. But for you, it's a normal thing because that's just what you do.
Yeah, you just take the time and just consistently do it and just add them along the way.
And just keep chipping at it, like you said.
Right on, dude. Well, man, this has been a fantastic conversation. We're at that time. Thanks, dude.
I hope you're subscribed to this podcast. Check this dude out. Outside Perspective. This shit is bringing the heat. Make sure you hit the subscribe button right now. That was your commercial.
That was fucking great. Tell the folks how they can check you out.
Oh, yeah. Follow me on Instagram. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Jeremy Genin. Make sure to sign up for Meme City. Only sign up for Meme City if you have an extremely odd sense of humor. And other than that, follow me on Facebook.
All right, right on, dude. Jeremy Genin.
Genin, French is Genin. It's Genin.
I always say Janine.
Like Genin juice.
Sipping on some. Ooh, I like it. All right, everybody. Until next time.
See ya.